All right. And now to talk about our module of the week, let's turn it over to our AI generated. Wait a second. Not Martin Anderson Klutz. It's actually Mark Andrew Casillas, a Drupal technical lead at Canopy Studios and a maintainer of some Drupal modules of his own, a member of the community working group. Marky, what do you have for us this week?
Hi, yeah. This week we have the Storybook module. It's a brand new module that just came out. It helps make it easier to create a connection between Drupal and Storybook. It adds some Twig functionality, so you can actually read your or write your stories in Twig instead of having to write it in React, which of course no one likes. Well, some people like, I don't know. But also, you don't have to write it in YAML or JSON. It makes it very easy to connect to Drupal and actually pull in your theme and make Storybook a lot easier. I've been playing with it for about a month now and really been enjoying it. It's less than a year old. Right now, it's only have it's in its alpha 4. It's got about 6 issues that are still open. He's closed a couple in the last week or so. It's actively maintained. One thing about it, it doesn't have a lot of usage stats because this is for development only. You really don't want to use this on your live site. You want to have it on your development site. I use it just on the DDev locally, and then that way I can check everything and then push out everything live. Matteo Bosch from Lullabot. I actually don't know. I've always called his screen name Epsio, but that's because I'm dyslexic and I know that's wrong. It's Eopso. Is that right? Anybody know? Anybody got a
that sounds right. We all know how I am with names. That sounds good to me.
Yeah. Okay, good. But he does a really good job. Of course, he helped write single directory components, all the CL server stuff and everything like that. It's really a great replacement for the CL server. Just made it a ton easier to get Drupal into Storybook. It's Twig-based stories, like I said. So there are 2 new Twig functions, one called stories, where you lay out the different categories of your stories. And then inside each of the stories, you put a story tag, and then you can either connect to, you can write your raw Twig function, bump in your embeds, or embed a single directory component. You don't need single directory components to use this, but it certainly is a nice way to section off each of your Twig files and your components in there. There's a great instruction on how to set this up on the module page, connecting to Drupal, making sure that your development.services.yaml file is correct, so it doesn't do the CORS issue. There is a CORS issue. There is one permission that you have to set so that people can see the story, or anonymous people can see the stories. Other than that, it is locked down, so you don't have to worry about that. It's way easier than CL Server, like I said, because CL Server wanted JSON stories, which you couldn't even send attributes and stuff like that into your story. And with this, it actually pulls in your theme, all your theme colors, all your theme libraries gets pulled in, and then with your single development or your single directory components, your component looks very clean. It's not as opinionated as other Storybook integrations. There are a couple out there, but those are all very opinionated as to what Storybook should be, and that should be your mess, not somebody else's mess. So Storybook, the module of the week.
Yeah, I'm really excited to check this out. I mean, I've been using Storybook extensively for the last, 3 years, maybe, give or take. And I've always just kind of manually integrated it with Drupal. So I got a couple projects starting up this year. I'd love to kind of see how to get it set up. Also, I've been doing some experimentation with single directory components and pretty excited about that. So I'd love to see kind of how those two things work together and, start moving into the future.
Yeah, I started using it because I'm moving the Alley Talks website from Gatsby to Drupal, and that's already a bunch of React components. So it was very easy just to grab those components, copy the HTML or the JSX, rename class name to class, because if you don't do that, everything messes up. And then just throw all your component stuff into their folders as needed. Made my life a ton easier. So it was really, really good.
Super interesting.
And yeah, and it was a lot easier to set up than other integrations. I don't want to mention names because I don't want anybody to feel like I'm being mean to them, but I'm using this now. Let me just say that it's just a lot easier. The one downside is because it makes you use your development services. You really don't want that on your production site, so it makes it hard to share the storybook. Like one thing about some of the other integrations is you can publish your stories out into a Git pages or something like that, and that way everybody can take a look at that. With this, it's a little bit harder to do. So
Okay,
that's the only downside.
Could you store your, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, but could you store your storybook in like a separate repo and like other people could check it out if need be?
No, because the problem is it actually needs to talk to Drupal to get the CSS and the stories and the components and everything. So that is the it doesn't have a built storybook. It's a constant development storybook.
Yeah, it sounds like you. So what I do with some of my sites where it's manually integrated, and I use like Webpack or something to build Storybook, is I build it on dev environments so it's accessible, and then I just purge those directories before, shipping to production. And you could do the same thing here, where you just purge the development services file as part of the build process. But it is something that you have to be aware of. You don't want to just push it up.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like it would be fun. But Storybooks sounds like it would be fun.
It's a great integration, so I recommend it highly.
Well, Mark, thank you for joining us this week. And if folks wanted to connect with you or suggest a module of the week, how could they go about doing that?
Well, I mean, I'm Marky on Drupal.org or at Drupal.org and Drupal Slack, so you can reach out there. You could actually reach out to Martin, who normally does this, and that's probably more likely to get it on air except me. I mean, or you can do it by carrier pigeon. They fly through New Mexico all the time, so you'd be fine.
Funny story. My neighbor actually has homing pigeons. So I don't know if they're a cousin of carrier pigeons, but
I think they're the same thing. Carrier pigeons, homing pigeons. The whole point of a homing pigeon is to go to where you need to send the message. I think that's the thing.
My car doesn't appreciate it, but that's a topic for a different podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.